Time, one of humanity's greatest mysteries, and yet within the Jewish calendar, time itself seems to break apart. Did you know there are 165 lost years that have baffled scholars for generations? Yes, 165 years, hidden in plain sight. This isn't just about numbers. These missing years challenge the foundations of history, the precision of tradition, and even the divine timeline of creation. What if these lost years hold the key to understanding ancient prophecies, or even the age of the universe itself? Could it change how we see faith, time, and history? The Jewish calendar has been a beacon of spiritual and cultural identity for thousands of years, meticulously marking sacred moments from creation to the Exodus, from the rise of kings to the fall of temples. Yet, this revered system contains one of the most perplexing mysteries of all time, a discrepancy so significant it pits rabbinic tradition against modern science, shaking the timeline of biblical events to its core. This video goes beyond simply revealing the missing years. We'll uncover how this enigma connects to prophecies of the end times, how it reflects the resilience of Jewish culture, and why it matters to people of faith today. If you've ever wondered how time itself might hold divine secrets, this is the video for you. Could these 165 years be more than a historical error? What if they're part of a hidden message from the Creator? And how does this mystery affect the way we understand prophecy and the very meaning of time? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind the lost years of the Jewish calendar. Imagine standing at the gates of the mighty Persian Empire in the 4th century BCE. A time when their influence stretched from India to the Mediterranean. These were the rulers who allowed the Jewish people to rebuild the Second Temple after decades in exile, a turning point in Jewish history. Historians agree this period lasted over 200 years. But here's the twist. Rabbinic tradition tells a completely different story. According to the Seder Olam Rabbah, a foundational Jewish text, the Persian period lasted only 34 years. That's right, 34 years. How could a time so crucial to Jewish identity and the survival of their faith be condensed so drastically? This dramatic reduction has created a 170-year gap between academic records and rabbinic chronology. It doesn't just change the length of the Persian Empire's rule, it shifts the entire Jewish historical timeline. The age of prophets like Ezra and Nehemiah, the rebuilding of the Second Temple, and even the timeline of biblical prophecies all hinge on these years. Consider Ezra 101-4, where King Cyrus of Persia is described as God's chosen instrument to rebuild Jerusalem and the Temple. This moment is celebrated as divine intervention. But if the Persian timeline is wrong, what does that mean for the interpretation of events like this? Does it cast doubt on the divine narrative? Or does it hint at something deeper? If the Persian period's timeline is wrong, what does it mean for key events like Cyrus's decree? Does it cast doubt on the divine narrative or reveal something deeper? Could this discrepancy be the first clue to understanding the 165 missing years of the Jewish calendar, the First Temple's destruction, and the lost years? Close your eyes and picture this. Jerusalem, once a radiant jewel of faith and worship, is engulfed in flames. The streets echo with cries of despair as Nebuchadnezzar's forces breach the city walls. The year? Historians say it's 587 BCE. A moment meticulously documented in Babylonian chronicles. But wait, rabbinic tradition tells a very different story. According to Jewish calculations, this catastrophic event occurred in 422 BCE. That's a staggering 165 years apart. How could two sources disagree so dramatically about one of the most pivotal events in Jewish? This discrepancy is not just about numbers on a timeline. It's about identity, faith, and the very foundation of Jewish religious history. If the First Temple didn't fall when we thought it did, then what happens to the timeline of sacred prophecies? What about the 70-year exile foretold in Jeremiah 25:11, where God declared, "This whole country will become a desolate wasteland, and these nations will serve the king of Babylon 70 years"? A shift in the timeline could mean a shift in how we understand God's promises and the fulfillment of those prophecies. Archaeological records from Babylon, including Nebuchadnezzar's own chronicles, confirmed the siege of Jerusalem in 587 BCE. Astronomical data, like detailed records of eclipses, further back this date with incredible precision. Yet rabbinic tradition, anchored in texts like the Seder Olam Rabbah, places the destruction of the First Temple in 422 BCE. This isn't just an error, it's a reimagining of history, one that condenses the timeline of the Persian Empire and repositions key events in Jewish history. Why? Some scholars believe this timeline shift wasn't accidental, it was intentional. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, Jewish leaders faced a monumental challenge: preserving the identity and cohesion of their people during exile and persecution. By aligning history with a sacred narrative, they provided spiritual hope and unity, even if it meant compressing centuries of history. But here's the question that keeps us up at night. Is this 165-year gap a case of human error, or is it a divine mystery woven into the fabric of time? And more importantly, what does it teach us about the balance between faith and historical accuracy? The astronomical evidence. Raise your eyes and picture this. It's a moonlit night, thousands of years ago, and ancient Babylonian astronomers stand on stone terraces, their eyes fixed on the heavens. With meticulous care, they record eclipses, track the movements of stars, and mark celestial events that echo through history. These records, preserved on clay tablets, allow modern scientists to date events like Nebuchadnezzar's siege of Jerusalem with astonishing precision, down to the very day. But here's the twist. These perfectly aligned celestial records directly contradict traditional Jewish texts. While academic data points to 587 BCE as the year the First Temple fell, rabbinic chronology insists it happened much later, around 422 BCE. That's a difference of 165 years. How can the same event have two such drastically different dates? Is one wrong, or is there something deeper going on? This clash isn't just about numbers, it's a battle between two ways of understanding time itself. On one side, we have empirical evidence, the hard facts of eclipses, Babylonian chronicles, and archaeological findings. On the other, we have spiritual narratives preserved in rabbinic tradition, shaping the Jewish understanding of history for millennia. This conflict leaves us grappling with a profound question. Can spiritual truths coexist with scientific precision, or do these lost years reveal a deliberate divergence, one designed to protect a deeper, sacred purpose? What if these missing years aren't just a historical error, but a symbol of something greater? Could they hold a spiritual message that transcends time, pointing us toward a divine plan hidden in the calendar itself? Are they a marker of something greater, a reminder of God's plan hidden in the timeline itself? Symbolism and the 6,000-year theory. Imagine this. According to Jewish tradition, the world is 5,785 years old, a timeline meticulously calculated from the creation of Adam. But what if we're missing something? Some scholars argue that the lost years, those 165 hidden years, mean the world is actually closer to 6,000 years old. And here's where it gets fascinating. Many believe these 6,000 years align with a divine timeline, where every 1,000 years represents a single day in God's creation week, as mentioned in Psalm 94. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by. Could this timeline hold the secret to humanity's ultimate destiny? This theory transforms the lost years from a historical curiosity into a profound spiritual narrative. If each millennium corresponds to a day in God's creation, we could be nearing the prophesied seventh day, a time of divine rest and renewal foretold in both Jewish and Christian eschatology. This idea ties together the mysteries of the past and the promises of the future in a way that's as awe-inspiring as it is thought-provoking. The book of Revelation echoes this concept with its mention of a 1,000-year reign, Revelation 26, suggesting a period of peace and restoration. If the world is nearing the 6,000-year mark, could we be on the brink of this long-awaited era? And what role do the lost years play in this divine countdown? Are they a mistake or a marker left by God to signal the approach of something extraordinary? But here's the real question. What if these lost years were never truly lost? What if they were intentionally hidden to reveal something profound? Something we're only beginning to uncover now? Could they hold the key to understanding not just the past but the future of humanity? Let us know in the comments, do you believe these lost years have a deeper meaning tied to prophecy? How do you interpret the connection between time, faith, and God's plan? We'd love to hear your thoughts. The rabbinic motivation. Imagine this. It's the year 70 CE. The sacred Second Temple has just fallen, its flames illuminating the night sky over Jerusalem. For the Jewish people, it's not just the loss of a building, it's the loss of a center for worship, identity, and hope. Scattered across foreign lands, the exiled community faces an existential crisis. How do you preserve a faith, a culture, a people, when everything tangible has been torn away? Enter the rabbis, the spiritual leaders of their time. In the shadow of destruction, they gathered to rebuild, not with bricks and stones, but with stories, timelines, and sacred traditions. Could they have deliberately reshaped history, condensing entire centuries to create a more unified and spiritually resilient narrative? Could the lost years be the key to understanding this act of preservation? This theory suggests the missing 165 years weren't an oversight or a miscalculation, but a deliberate choice, a sacred edit, if you will. By aligning historical events with their spiritual vision, the rabbis may have sought to inspire hope, unify a fragmented people, and reinforce a shared identity rooted in divine purpose. For example, the rabbinic tradition condenses the Persian period, a time of exile and foreign domination, to just 34 years compared to the academic timeline of over 200 years. Why? Perhaps to emphasize spiritual redemption over political subjugation. Or consider the timeline of the Second Temple. Rabbinic texts claim it stood for 420 years, while historians argue for 589 years. These differences aren't just about numbers. They reflect a deeper attempt to harmonize history with faith. If this was a deliberate act, what does it tell us about the relationship between faith and history? Can reshaping time itself be an act of spiritual survival? And what lessons does this hold for us today as we seek to balance truth, faith, and identity in an ever-changing world? What do you think? Could the rabbis have intentionally rewritten history to protect their faith? Or is this just an interpretation of coincidence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could unlock new insights into this ancient mystery. When we look at the lost years of the Jewish calendar, we're not just uncovering a gap in history, we're peeling back layers of mystery that connect ancient traditions to divine purpose. These missing 165 years challenge us to think beyond time as we know it. Are they a mistake? Or are they a profound message from God, urging us to dig deeper into His plans for humanity? Could the truth about these years hold the key to understanding prophecy, the end times, or even our role in God's timeline? What do you think about the lost years? Are they simply an error in history, or do they serve a higher spiritual purpose? Could they be tied to the fulfillment of prophecy, or even the countdown to a divine event? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective. Have you ever considered how time itself reflects God's plan? Share your insights and keep the discussion going in the comments. This video is just the beginning of a fascinating journey. Share it with your friends and family to explore these mysteries together. Let's spark conversations about history, faith, and the divine narrative that binds us all. Thank you for staying with us through this incredible exploration. Your time and curiosity mean the world to us. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button and share your favorite takeaway in the comments below. And for more mysteries of faith, prophecy, and history, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Let's uncover these truths together. And here's a question to leave you with. If 165 years could vanish from the Jewish calendar, what other secrets are waiting to be discovered? Could they be connected to the end of days, or even the Messiah's return? Stay tuned, because the next revelation might change how you see the world.